Cool, evening. Thanks everyone for coming. Really appreciate your time out. I appreciate everyone's busy. So basically tonight is about delivering software. And obviously there's a focus on testing as I'm a software tester. But that said, it's not aimed at just testers, but anyone who's interested in delivering quality software. Yeah. So, are you going to work? Oh God. Why are we here? So tonight has come about as a result of my learning journey. I've been with my current client, Bolton Trader, for about 18 months, and they're very hot on promoting self-learning and self-development. And as such, I find the development teams are a lot more engaged with the software, both in and out of work. This has helped me to realise there's a wider software development community, albeit mostly for developers. Unfortunately for me, most of the communities I'm interested in are largely based in Manchester, and obviously for various time and family commitments mean I can't attend those gatherings. So here we are. After a search for the community that I was after in Liverpool, albeit a quick one, it proved fruitless. Someone suggested that I JFDI. After another search for JFDI, I just effing did it. Right. So yeah, my motivations for why we're here is that I prefer conversations over the written word. I want to meet a wider community of software developers, and by developers I mean programmers, testers, BAs, PMs, everyone that's involved in developing software. I want to speak to people about the topics I'm interested in to find their view on it. And I also want people to introduce me to new topics as well that I'm not aware of, so to help me on my learning journey. So what else is there? Right, I'm also interested in how other people tackle the same challenges that I'm faced with, just to see how they come at the different problems. Right, so who am I? This is the mugshot I use on all my web presence, you might notice. Straplines for it are welcome. Unfortunately, that's the best picture I could find at the time, and it's kind of stuck. So yeah, I'm a software tester, and I subscribe to the context-driven school of testing. I'm trying to get involved with the software community in the Northwest in general, obviously focusing on Liverpool, trying to build that presence. I'm obviously trying to build my online presence to support my paper-based CV. So hopefully next contract should come around a bit easier when I start to look for one. Yeah, and if you've got any straplines for that, that'll be greatly appreciated. I think there's some funny ones out there. If you want to find me, there's my website, duncannisbet.co.uk. On Twitter, Duncan Nisbet. Skype, Duncan Nisbet, not .co.uk, that's a copy and paste. I've also got a presence obviously on Software Testing Club, SQA Stack Exchange, UTest, LinkedIn and GitHub. Cool, so that's me, and a word from our sponsors. So obviously tonight is brought to us by the wonderful World of Cars Made Easy, Auto Trader. Great client to work for. And there we go. If you want to get in contact with potential contract work or permanent work with them, you can email there or go and access their careers website. But if you do get in contact with them, could you please reference this Meetup so they can source where it came from. I'll put these slides up online, probably on Google Docs, so you can get hold of them later. Cool, is there any questions about me or why we're here, or no? Cool, alright. Anyways, everyone's up for it. We'll get straight into the dojo. Right. I can tell I don't do presentations often. Right, so the interactive session. Apologies from Stu Taylor, he's still stuck on a train coming up from Hertfordshire. So we're jumping straight into my little challenge. The testing the time machine. Okay, so what have we got? I guess we've all seen Back to the Future. Yeah, we know the concept, we know what happens. Marty's thrown into the deep end by Doc Brown. Basically, I thought it'd be really interesting to put Marty in the context of a tester, put Doc Brown in the context of a entrepreneur customer, and see how Marty could possibly test a DeLorean. So obviously time is against him, no pun intended. He's got limited documentation, so there's no functional specs, there's no requirements. How could he possibly test this time machine? So I'm going to propose that he uses exploratory testing. Okay, so bear this in mind, this context in mind, as I go through a high-level overview of what I understand exploratory testing as. Okay, so let's have a show of hands for anyone who's heard of exploratory testing. Yeah. And another show of hands for anyone who says they practice exploratory testing.
I don't practice it.
Do you do or you don't?
I don't practice it, but I have to once.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna hazard a guess that all of you have done exploratory testing. You just didn't realise it. So, right. So just a quick high-level overview of exploratory testing. So most of my source comes from James Bach, Michael Bolton Cem Kaner, largely because their information is the most accessible on the internet via blog posts, via tweets. And I agree with what they're saying. So James defines it as simultaneous learning, test design, and test execution. So, right.
Is that Marcus James Bach?
Yeah, James Marcus Bach.
Just out of interest for anybody who's interested, he's actually doing down in Birmingham next month. He's actually there face to face.
Yeah, he's awesome. So again, they're Michael and James being present in the community. James, Michael, they're always at these software testing club meetups. They're really approachable. It's great just to have your bookshelf in front of you and have a chat. But yeah, you've got the Birmingham meetup, you've got the Manchester software testing meetup around Eurostar. So yeah, James isn't there, but Michael is. Cool. So yeah, so the way I see exploratory testing. Bear with me while I draw tedious diagrams, a lot quicker than trying to do it in Visio. So, testing is circular, and obviously testing goes round and round. Up here you have the test design, so you design the tests and you execute the tests continuously, that's from that description. And then from that, fires off these learning. So the way I find it a lot easier to think of exploratory testing is, he says, test design and test execution at the same time with a focus on learning. And I have seen some definitions where the difference between exploratory testing and ad hoc testing is this focus on learning. Okay, does anybody have questions about that diagram? So the testing is continuous, goes on, and then these ideas from learning, what we've learned about what we've tested, flies off. Okay? I'll come back to that shortly. So yeah. So in my mind, the exploratory testing focuses on the tester as a user of the software and their ability to think and feel rather than just follow instructions. Exploratory testing has obviously been largely overlooked with a preference for a more scripted testing approach, but as the companies are looking to be more and more agile and turn around their software a lot quicker, they're also looking for more efficient testing approach, which provides the faster feedback that they crave. One of the advantages of exploratory testing is that it gives that faster feedback. Test scripts don't need to be written before the test execution. They're written at the same time, and the results of one test could potentially determine the test that's next run. So instead of using the test scripts, exploratory testers using this concept of test charters or a test mission. So a tester will be given a high-level overview. If we were to liken it, be like user can log in with valid username password. And that would be the extent of the mission or the charter. They wouldn't be told how to do it. There might be a few tactics how they might approach that testing. So like sort of try some invalid credentials, try some non-alphanumeric credentials. So while they're carrying out the mission, they make the notes of the bugs and the issues they find on the way, like any tester following a script. But they also make notes and observations on what they see the software, how they see the software behaving. And this goes back to this learning over here. So if the software behaves in a way they don't expect it to behave, they would make a note of that, and then this might go off into another charter. This is one charter. And then this learning spins off into another testing charter that they can explore later on. So like when I put in some Arabic characters into the login, the application behaved in this way. So that might go off, and it's going to explore that later on. But they just focus on the main charter. So obviously they've made notes on the session, and then after that they go and debrief with the test manager, the test lead, or whoever's interested, and they discuss the notes and the issues raised, and then they can prioritise which charters get tackled next. I think one of the reasons that the exploratory testing is kind of being passed over recently is because of metrics, and people find it hard to measure the exploratory testing that a tester or anyone is partaking in. This is coming more to light again with James Bach. He's doing session-based test management. I'm not going to go into that tonight because it's only at a high level, but there are ways of monitoring and getting metrics from exploratory testing. Okay, so going back to James Bach again, he sees exploratory testing like a jigsaw, where completing the jigsaw is your charter, and each piece is a test case. The placing of each piece are the tactics. So you might find the edge pieces, for example, to begin with, or you might group by consistent colour, or you'll try grouping them into the similar colours, and then when you've got a piece, you might try and fit it against several other pieces, whether that be against the colour or whether it be around the edge pieces. Again, so these are tactics, and it's what you try, it's what you explore when you're doing the jigsaw. You don't write down every step that you've taken in order to complete that jigsaw. You just do it. So I'll put it to you: have you ever asked yourself any of the following questions? That's strange. I wonder what happens if. Is there a problem here? So when you're in your work, in your daily life, have you ever asked yourself those questions? Yeah. What do you do about it? You don't just put it down. You go and see what does happen. So I would say if you answered yes to these, you are doing exploratory testing. Does anybody have any ideas where these kind of questions come from?
We're going about the job.
Or just anyway, why do you think you ask yourself the question, that's strange? What do you think triggers that question?
It's not the norm.
Yeah.
Not the norm, yeah. Cool, but how do you know what the norm is?
It's not what you've been used to.
Cool, yeah. Excellent. Anyone
Not
else?
historical.
Yeah. Brilliant.
You find that idea of what you expect to see, and you don't see that.
Yeah. That's it. So it's kind of from your experience. It's not the behaviour isn't as you expected it. So so as well as like your experience, your instinct or your brain doesn't tell you or suggests that something is amiss. So without realising it, you're applying heuristics. Okay, so a heuristic can be defined as a fallible method for solving a problem or making a decision. So key word being fallible. So a heuristic is not a rule. A heuristic can work, but it might fail. And a heuristic is applied, not followed. Yeah, so an example of a heuristic might be it's dangerous to drink and drive. It might be dangerous. You might get home scot-free. So yeah, examples like that. There's a lot of old wives' tales that you could define as a heuristic. So there are several kind of groups of heuristics, but the one obviously I'm new to exploratory testing, so the ones I focused in are the metaphor heuristics, such as rumble strip heuristic. So on a motorway, you're driving along the road, you fall asleep, as you drift off to the side, the rumble strip wakes you up, alerts you that if you don't make an amendment now, that figure's going to get a whole lot worse. Same thing happens in software. You come across a bug, you think, that's fine, I don't expect that. You can either ignore it and then carry on working the software, or as most testers would, they see, well, that's what happens. Let's see if this is a more sinister bug underlying. So that's the metaphor heuristic. You also have mnemonics. We're big on mnemonics in the heuristic world. So don't absorb all the contents of the slide. It's very big. I do apologise. So this is called the hiccup heuristic. But with further development, they've tagged on this PSF again from Bach and Bolton. So going back to what you were saying, Tony, the present version of the system is not consistent with the past versions of it. So a website's had an upgrade. You're like, oh, I never used to do this before. Is that a problem? Might be, might not be. Image. Different parts of the company developing different pages of a website. One page might look ace, another page might look absolutely awful. So the system isn't consistent. And you can go on, so for all these you could say, the system doesn't do what they say it's supposed to do. So anybody got any questions about the hiccup heuristic? It's just this one heuristic for identifying why you think you found a bug. Yeah? Okay, right. So that's enough of me gassing on. I'm going to lay down the challenge now. So we're going to use a mnemonic heuristic. Marty's been thrown at the deep end by Doc Brown and time is against him. How can he test the DeLorean time machine with the limited information he has? We're going to help him by applying the Marty heuristic. So apologies, this is one that I've conjured up and I've shoehorned a few different ideas into the one. Right. Okay, so the Marty heuristic. Consider like maintainability. How economical is it to build, fix or enhance the product? Automation. How can we run millions of tests against this product in order to get a high-speed evaluation? Risk. What risk could be associated with a time machine? Time and date. There's probably quite a lot around this. What's the relationship between the product and time? And then finally, your brain. Any ideas that you could have around how you could test the DeLorean time machine? So with these as your main guides, you've got the sheets around the wall. We're going to sit there and see what tests you could think of, what questions you could ask of the software in the frame of the Marty heuristic. Okay, I'm going to run a few slides for you because I've had a quick chat with Doc Brown and I've got limited information. Okay, so in an agile development process, we gather requirements through stories and we use this concept of as I want, so that. This kind of structure. So as is the customer, I want is the customer's requirements, and the so that is the value. So we've all seen Back to the Future. So as Dr. E. Brown Enterprises, I want to be able to travel 25 years into the future so that I can live beyond my years, see progress in mankind, and I'll be able to see who wins the next 25 World Series. Okay, so that's what we're trying to keep the customer happy. That's our requirements. Okay, so he's got a prototype in place, and this is what involved. So he wants a time machine that can travel in time, both past and the future. He's got a prototype which requires 88 miles per hour to activate this flux capacitor. It needs 1.21 gigawatts of electricity to power the flux capacitor, and it needs a nuclear reaction to generate the electricity required to power the flux capacitor. So the platform architecture that he's built it on is a DeLorean DMC-12 car. The time machine is powered by nuclear fission. The time machine fuel is plutonium, and the car fuel is gasoline, or petrol if you're British. So the components, we've got the nuclear reactor, obviously big flat arrow. We've got the DeLorean, the platform. We've got the time circuits. This is the main user interface to the time machine. The flux capacitor, which make the time machine possible, or time travel possible, sorry. A few known bugs. The car has starter problems and has a hard time turning over once stopped. The time circuits act up intermittently and there's arduous power generation requirements. Okay, so he's given us some simple operating instructions. We need to set the time circuits to the required date and time, accelerate the car to 88 miles per hour, and as the car reaches 88 miles per hour, occupants see a quick flash of light and instantaneously arrive at the target time in the same spatial location relative to the Earth as when it departed. Okay? Don't worry, I'll be handing out the slide deck after all these on, so you don't need to remember them. He's got a few ideas that he wants to develop in the future. He wants to move to a cold fusion generator, which uses garbage as fuel to replace the nuclear reactor. Apparently there's contract negotiations with fusion industries regarding their Mr. Fusion. He'd like to put a hover conversion in, and also like to look around spatial displacement, so the car can travel through time and space. So the challenge, in your teams, apply the Marty heuristic to test a DeLorean time machine. We're going to gather ideas on post-its, and then after a period of time, we'll stick the post-its on the whiteboard and discuss them. Okay? Just for some resources about where I got my information, James Bach, Michael Bolton, Cem Kaner, and Jonathan Cole I've started noticing a bit more in my research. Interesting stuff. If you want more information on heuristics, Software Testing Club, you're probably not best off remembering that URL, but if you go into Software Testing Club and search for checklists, you'll find the heuristics checklist, and it has all the heuristics that are currently available. Cool. Okay, so we'll begin.